Hey guys, thank you so much for coming to my How to Get Away with Murder live chat for this week. This is crazy because literally there is just one episode left for the entire show. Wow. I really didn't know what to expect after last week's episode because you know how much I hated last week's episode. And by the way, if you're in the room, say hello. I see that some of you love the episode, and I saw some people on Twitter tweeting me that you love the episode, and I really did not love the episode, but maybe I just haven't gotten over what's happened last week. But hello to Luke and hello, Michael. So if you're here, say hello and I will give you a shout out. Anyway, I guess, like I was saying, I didn't really know what to expect after last week's revelations about incest and Frank being a product of incest and so on and so forth. We don't have to go over that again. Hey, Haley, thanks for being here. I didn't have high expectations. I really had no expectations. So we'll start with that. To me, it just felt like, we were heavily in the courtroom in this episode, which I get it because it is kind of a court show. But I found myself super bored. If it had just been a regular show, like part of any regular season of this show, I might not be as critical. But this is literally the last episode before the final episode. And I am going to judge that more critical because I feel like so much more stuff should have gone down. We had a few things happen that were a little surprising. Maybe it's just because I just finished all seasons of Ozark and maybe I have my expectations in the wrong place because that show is incredible. If you haven't watched it, you have to watch it. It's fantastic. But anyway, hi T, hi Afonso, hi Azuki, hi Esther, hi Roadhill Entertainment, hey Hilda, thank you guys so much for being here. I think I said hi to Brad, but if not, hey Brad. Hi E, thank you for being here. But anyway, so I was pretty bored with it. The biggest thing I guess that happened was that Hannah was probably murdered, even though they said it was a suicide. Again, I don't really like Hannah, don't care about her, don't like her being a central character in the end of all of this, the end of the entire show. So that bothers me. Ben is asking if the finale is longer than normal, and from what I've heard, it is not. The finale is next week. Hi, S. Wilson. Thanks so much for being here. So we had the return of Laurel, which was kind of interesting because we saw Michaela and Connor get up on the stand to testify and lie about what went down with Annalise, and we saw Laurel going down that path and then changing her mind and telling the truth, which I guess is admirable of her. I'm going to read some of your comments and then I'll get on to more thoughts because there's definitely several different elements that we need to speak about from this episode. None of them were, to me, fantastic, mind-blowing, shocking. Sorry, just weren't. All right, let's see what comments we should get to that were from earlier. Luke says you really loved the episode, thought it was great. Michael says this episode wasn't as bad as the previous one, but just couldn't care for anything that was happening. And that's kind of how I felt. Did I think it was a terrible episode? Did I think it was complete trash? No. Did I think it was boring? Yes. Do I think that we learned anything? I think we should have been mind blown a little because, again, we have one show left till the very, very end. And if you didn't realize, Pete Nowak, who is the, I guess, mastermind of the show, is saying that we will be horrified by the events that take place in the finale. So whether that is true or what his definition of horrified is, I don't know, but that's what he's saying. Luke says the only thing you hated was Michaela. You love her character, but this episode she was selfish. It did bug me that Michaela and Connor were up there lying because they were, looking out for themselves. I didn't like that, but, again, I think we've had this discussion every week now where we talk about how all of these people are criminals. So to feel sorry for one of the criminals and not feel sorry for another criminal is kind of weird. So, I can't really feel sorry for Annalise in this situation because even though they were lying about her, she's still a criminal. Hilda says the energy in this episode should have been there in the mid-season premiere. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. Aaron says you love that they took us back to the courtroom. You think it was your favorite part of the episode. You just thought we'd get more loose ends tied up, but you feel like we just got more questions. And I think that was one of my main thoughts, too, from this episode. My cat is up here. Get down, get down. He'll start making all kinds of problems if he doesn't get down. Anyway, when we talk about things that haven't been cleared up yet, we don't know what happened to Laurel's mom. That's just off the top of my head. And there's so much more. And I think we've been discussing this like every week. A lot of loose ends that, guys, we have one episode left and we have some big things that we know are going to have to be tied up, like what's going on with the governor and what happened to Hannah and what's going to happen now that one of the revelations from this episode. Why did Bonnie tell Frank that his parents were Hannah and Sam and all of that? Why did she feel like she needed to tell him this? We're going to have the fallout from that. E says, you just don't understand why Nate had to be included in the storyline. So at the end of the episode, something else we have to talk about is the fact that Nate contacted Jorge basically to lie and say, you know, I didn't kill Xavier. And like basically to, I guess it's his idea to get him to get some payback on the governor. I still see him dying next week. S. Wilson says, did we ever find out who wiped out Annalise's bank account earlier in this season? Was it confirmed it was Xavier? I feel like that's the answer, but I'm not sure. If you guys know for sure, let me know. Again, if I miss your comment, just comment again because they're kind of rolling by right now. Hi, Moo Doja. Thank you so much for being here. Megan says, yes, they say that all of our questions will be answered next week, but no idea how that will happen. I'm just going to go ahead and say that all of our questions will not be answered next week because there's just no way because I'm sorry, it's just not going to happen. Azuki says, do I think Frank killed Hannah or she committed suicide? So I definitely don't think she committed suicide. Bonnie thinks that maybe Frank did it, but by her saying that in this episode, I'm kind of thinking whoever killed her is someone that we haven't thought about. So what do you guys think about that? Michael says, do I think Annalise will actually die in the series finale? That would be the last straw. So another issue that we have here is that, yet again, we have not introduced Wes back into the show. So the fact that we have one more episode left, the fact that we've seen like that weird funeral scene where we see Wes kind of makes me think that I want to say that he's almost not alive and that's some sort of dream. And I also don't really think that is a real funeral. But if you saw the preview, we saw, I think, Frank crying like at a gravestone. And I don't know if I didn't get a great look at it, so I'm not sure if that had like Annalise's name on it or if that's part of the dream or if that was someone else's grave, but we were supposed to assume that it was her from that preview. Gemini says, you know, you really think this entire series would have benefited really greatly from having Annalise's thoughts. It would have been such a great way to ground the show and keep it on the lead. Yeah, I think that would have been very beneficial to this show. Brad says they need to explain Wes showing up at Annalise's funeral. Okay, so I just talked about that. Yeah, definitely. E is wondering if Keegan might have killed Hannah. Or you mean Tegan. Your phone probably corrected it to Keegan. Yeah, I'm thinking it's not Frank and it's not suicide. I know for sure it's not suicide. Hi, Ralph. Thank you so much for being here. Victor says your only problem with the episode is that we don't learn anything about Emmett and who killed him. I think that's going to be a loose end that we don't tie up. I also believe that Oliver is still evil along with Tegan. I've really held out for a long time about Oliver being evil, but I'm starting to really lose my hopes in that. Alfonso's asking if it could be Sam's grave. Okay, hey, now that is not a bad thought because now we know that Frank knows that Sam is his dad. So I like where you're going with that. As Wilson says, Sam doesn't have a grave, but he could have a grave, a headstone, even though his body isn't there, right? Like a way to remember him. I mean, what do you think? Haley says you think the gravestone was where Sam spread the child's ashes, okay? Or it's Sam and AK's baby. I don't know. But with Frank standing there crying, it makes me kind of think it might be Sam because he realizes that's his dad. Hi, Jada. Thank you so much for being here. Ben is wondering if Vivian killed Hannah. That's actually pretty good because she would have the motivation, right? Yeah, definitely it wouldn't have been, no one's saying Annalise, but I'm just going through my mind about people. Annalise wouldn't kill her because she needed her as a witness. Ralph says Frank or Nate will both die in the finale. Definitely Nate's going. I'm going to be really sad if Frank goes. Frank is like the one person I don't want to die. Andrew says you don't want Wes to be alive, but then putting all this hype in this funeral scene for them just to be a dream is annoying. So I know, and I remember that some of you guys told me in some of the chats before that Pete Nowalk had made a statement that Wes is alive or something along those lines. Can anyone confirm that? Because, you know, also though, several years ago, they made several statements and then of dealing with Wes's death, and then whatever they didn't even match up to what they said. So I don't know if it really matters much what someone said on Twitter, especially if they said it like a long time ago. I'm not really sure that means like that they're gonna go, definitely go by what was said whenever. Victor says you heard it's an hour-long finale, so let's pray, please. I don't know. If anyone knows for sure that it's longer or whatever, let me know. Luke says from the promo, it seems like Connor is the only one who goes to jail. Yeah, because I think Michaela got a better deal than him, right? Gemini says you have a feeling that Wes is really just grown up Christopher. So I'm seeing this everywhere, and I've heard this a lot from you guys and in the comments and everything. You think Annalise just died at an old age. So I don't know, like, isn't there a picture of her or something at the funeral that looks like her in present day? And then, if so, unless they're using, I just have so many problems with all of this Wes situation and this funeral situation, because if the picture of her, like, that's from present day, like, we saw Christopher, he's like a little boy, like, so if she dies looking the way she does today, it can't be grown up Christopher. Okay, Jada says definitely Nate will die. Xavier's dad, you forgot his name, will kill him. You think he's the one that gets shot. Interesting. Yeah. It maybe Jorge knows, or maybe Frank will tell Jorge that, Nate killed him. I don't know what's going to happen here. Megan says in this episode, Annalise said something that she wouldn't be surprised if Wes came back from the dead and testified against her. So you wouldn't be surprised if he's not dead. Yeah, I mean, I've kind of felt like that's the way they're going to go, that he's not dead. But again, none of that adds up, and that's just going to cause me some major... I mean, I can already tell you guys I'm going to be frustrated with the finale. I know that Pete is saying that we're all going to be horrified and whatever. I'm going to be horrified at how terrible it is. Let's just keep it real here. Because the second half of this season has just not been good. If it was any other season that wasn't the final season, I would just say, the second half of this season has not been good. But the fact that the second half of this season is the final season of the whole series is just a shame to me, because I think the show deserves better. I think this half of the season has been really, really bad. It started with this killing, the reveal of Asher's killer, I think, was lame as can be. And then last week's episode just put it in the trash can. I mean, this ridiculous incest storyline with Frank being the baby, to me, was just so bad. This episode wasn't like horrific or, trash or anything, but it was just boring and not what it needs to be for the episode before the series finale. I'm just so upset. Gregory says, is it you, or are we going to get a did you miss me moment with Wes? Is he going to say, did you miss me? I don't know what we're doing with that, but I'm very concerned. I am very concerned about how they're going to handle whatever's going on with Wes. I already feel embarrassed for them, because I feel like it's not going to be good. Hilda says Pete did say that he's been wanting to bring Wes back since season 5. So bringing him back in any which way could be in a dream sequence, or I don't know. So I just don't know. Luke loves this season, you're not going to lie. And I'm glad that you would say that, because I know some people are afraid to say that when I'm being like, when I dislike something. But thank you, because, everyone doesn't think the same. And if you liked it, tell me you like it. That's awesome. Victor says Gabriel probably sneaked a gun into the courtroom. So Gabriel is on edge, and I think something is going to happen with him, okay? We saw him very unraveled last night. Let me go back to that comment. Saying to kill Annalise. If seen in the promo, it looks like they're running into the courtroom. So we know he's really struggling with what really happened to his dad. That's not a bad thought there. I could definitely see him. I mean, it's a good thought. Let me say that in a more positive way. I could see something going down with him, because he seemed really off. Aaron says the way Bonnie told Frank was so awkward. I felt like it was really awkward. Pretty unnecessary, really. The whole scene at the end with them was weird and uncomfortable. Who tells someone they love someone else to explain how much they love that person? I found that scene so weird. He starts off with, I still love Laurel, but hey, I love you more. It's in a different type of love. It's like a better love. And I mean, right, like, especially if you love that person too, and you've been waiting for them to be like telling you how much they love you and all this stuff, and they come out with, hey, I love, Sally, but I love you, but I love you more. Like, I would just feel insulted and weird and like, wait, this person's mixed up in the head because they love more than one person. I would just think that he was really strange and like just not thinking clearly, and I would probably not pursue a relationship with someone who comes at me with this weird thing. But not only that, I mean, I felt like it was almost cruel to tell him about his parents. Do we need that? I mean, because I was concerned about how he's going to take this news, and why was it coming from her, like a person who loves him? Or is that why she told him? Because she loved him and she feels like he needs to know the truth? Because I guess he was saying, like, I can be myself with you. So she was like, well, maybe you should know this truth. I don't know. Hi, show. Thank you so much for being here. Azuki is asking if I think Tegan killed Hannah to protect Annalise. I mean, yeah, it's possible. I mean, someone definitely murdered her. I just don't know. I don't know who it was. But we're getting some good ideas from you guys about who you think it is. Gregory says, you were surprised by how Michaela went full Karen. She was back to the biatch she was in season 1, right? Just her crazy, freaking flat out lies and just, I don't know. It made me laugh too. Madeline says, you're so confused as to why the kids hate Annalise so much. She's done nothing but help them. Yeah, I see both sides of that because, yes, she has helped them, but they also feel like she has manipulated them and like destroyed their lives because they just went along with whatever she said to do, because kind of what they were testifying about, except that a lot of that stuff wasn't true, like her sleeping with Wes. But, they feel like she was the adult in the situation, and they were kind of manipulated into doing things they wouldn't have normally done, and like they were basically college students or law students or whatever, and their whole lives have been effed up by her basically, and they just blame her. I think they blame her on a level that isn't really fair because, again, if these were like middle school kids or something, of course they're like super impressionable and maybe they don't know how to say no to someone, but these are adults too, and it was like they did a few bad things in season 1, a lot of bad things. They knew about Sam's murder and were covering that up. And then they just could not stop the life of crime because basically she had so much dirt on them that they just had to keep doing more things and covering up more lies and more crimes. But I think they seriously do blame her because they feel like she pushed them into a life of crime, for a better way of saying it. As Wilson says, baby Christopher gets loose during the courtroom commotion and finds a gun and tries to shoot Annalise, similar to the dream sequence in the beginning of season 6. That would be really wild, definitely. Doja says, for a series finale, the last 2 episodes have seemed very small in scale, just like the hyped Annalise trial is in the same old courtroom. Yeah, to me, the episodes are not living up to where they should be this point in the series, which is the end of the series. I just expect like so much more, Jada says, you're okay with the incest, not okay with Frank being the son. If they're going to go that route, they should have told the audience earlier in the series, and last episode would be where Frank finds out. I guess they've had that plan for a really long time. And I guess they were trying to use this incest storyline to explain why Sam went on to like have a mixed up way of dealing with women, to basically abuse women or use women and cheat on everyone, I guess that's kind of the way to explain what happened to him. But all of that just felt weird to me, and the fact that they wanted to make Frank the son was weird to me. Also, something that someone mentioned to me in the comments, he thought he was Italian, which I don't think Hannah and Sam are Italian, so I'm very confused because he just thought he was Italian, but he wasn't Italian, but maybe just like an Italian family adopted him. Can anyone help me connect the dots here? I'm having trouble with that. Yes, baby Christopher, Hilda says that was your favorite character. He is so cute. I think it's the same kid that we saw before. It definitely kind of looked like him. But it was cool, I think, to see him. I think he was the best part. I agree. I think it was so fun to see him, and I think he was the best part of this episode. And that's kind of sad, really, when we're talking about like a murder crime show, but we were so happy to see the baby or little boy. Victor, I haven't heard I don't think it's 2 hours of finale because in the preview for next week, they would have said, and they didn't say anything about it being longer. So I'm just assuming that it's not going to be any longer. Sweet as potato says, loving the ending season. Annalise still killing it in the courtroom. She does kill it in the courtroom. I will give her that. She was freaking awesome. Especially I think when she was like cross-examining Connor and called him out on a lie and called into question his motivations with Oliver. I really like that. Ben says you feel like the incest was planned for a while, but not Frank being the son because it doesn't fully match. I think you're right about that because I think we're all struggling with that revelation. Yes, Afonso says baby Christopher is actually played by two twins, and that's usually the way it is. Like for any of you who watch Full House in the 90s, you know, obviously the Olsen twins played Michelle. So when you have like a baby in a show, I think pretty much it's standard, and my face is itching again. Here we go. It's standard to have twins play so that I think maybe it's like a law or something because you can't exhaust a child who is that young. You can't expect them to do all that work or whatever. So you have two people to split it up. Hilda says, twin girls? They're girls? Are girls playing Christopher? I didn't know that. Doja says the official How to Get Away with Murder ABC Twitter account follows me, so you hope they see your tweets of disappointment. So, yes. And I kind of feel a little bit bad about it because when I started covering this show, I was maybe one of 2 or 3 people on YouTube. The reason I started doing this show, this is one of the first shows that I started doing on this channel, was because I was watching another woman who did all of season 1. Because I don't think I did season 1 on here. And she did not come back for season 2. And I was so upset because she did such a good job talking about the show. And I was like searching YouTube. I couldn't find anyone else doing the show. And I was like, I guess I'm just going to have to do it because like my girl went away. Like she was really good. Murder account follow me. Now, they probably don't read my tweets. I don't know how many people they follow. But sometimes I think about the fact that I'm like, bashing them in a way. I'm trying not to do it too mean. Maybe I am. I'm just being honest. But I feel like, oh my God, are they seeing these tweets? But they probably don't care because I'm just a random person. But I also feel like I need to be honest and, with any show that I cover. And sometimes this was a show that I started out loving and it's just gone to a place that I don't like at all. But other times shows are good the whole way through. So I don't know. I just can't come talk to you and, say like I loved it and whatever because I just don't love it anymore, and I'm glad it's ending because I think they've definitely, I think they've gone on longer than they should have. Hey Wit, thank you so much for being here. Says it just makes so many things Sam said to Frank in past episodes so awkward. And I guess if you guys have the time to go back and watch some of the episodes with interactions with Frank and Sam, I don't even know if there's inconsistencies, but I'm kind of feeling like there is. But to me, one of the biggest ones is the one I already brought up, the fact that we thought and he thought he was Italian and all of that, and like he's not. And why if they had planned this all along would they go with this storyline that his family was Italian and he was Italian, and if they knew he was not Italian? I'm really struggling with that. Luke says, honestly, I was the reason you started the show because you saw a video of me covering season 2 and you were saying how amazing it was. Well, thanks. That's so cool. I'm glad that I recommended it to you. And that makes me happy because I love when other people help me find good shows. So I'm happy I can help some of you guys find good shows too. I just want to plug Ozark once more. Please watch Ozark. It's fantastic. I think it's better than Breaking Bad. It's so, so good. If you haven't watched it, please, please, please. Has anyone watched Ozark in this room? It's so fantastic. The stuff that happens will get away with murder only follows 173 people. Man, I feel good that they follow me. I feel happy. I feel sad that maybe they read the timeline and maybe they've seen my tweets. I'm so sorry How to Get Away with Murder, but at the same time, I feel sad that it's gone down this path and it's just not living up to what it could be there. I said it in a nice way. Jan says you don't get how they can convince themselves that Annalise is to blame for all their crimes. You're right. She's not. She's absolutely not to blame for all their crimes. But, like I said, I think most people don't want to be a criminal or to know that they've either killed people or to live with the fact that they've killed people or they helped covered up murders. I mean, what happened with Sam, regardless of what kind of person he was, that was a very messed up situation. They were literally chopping up his body. And okay, like, can you imagine living with yourself after that? I mean, so I think a lot of times people in some kind of situation like this are just going to try to switch the blame. Like, I didn't even want to do this. I didn't want to get involved in this. This woman who I looked up to, my teacher, this adult, this mentor, she persuaded me to do these things. She manipulated me to do these things. I'm just a student. I think that is what they're thinking, because they don't want to deal with the reality that they have committed crimes too. Is she 100% to blame for them doing stuff? No. Does she have some part in it? Yeah, because maybe they never would have done any of this kind of stuff if they never met her or whatever. I don't know if all of them would have, probably none of them would have turned to a life of crime, Yeah, so I see that Sweetest Potato has finished Ozark. T has watched Ozark. It's so good. Aaron says, what do you think? Who do I think will die by the end of the final episode? Who do I think will go to jail? I think Connor's going to jail. I really don't see Annalise dying. I think that's some kind of trick they're playing on us. I think Nate is dying. There's going to be more deaths than that. I think they're going to kill... I could see Frank dying. I could almost see Frank like killing himself because he almost did before. I don't know. I think that other big people need to die. What do you guys think? Gregory says, you heard someone theorizing that the funeral in the finale will be for Annalise Keating and she will use her real name, Anime Harkness, after that. I think that's, yeah. I think something, I don't think that's real. I don't think it's a real funeral. I still don't really think that that's Wes being real, because here's the thing. I kept waiting for Laurel to say something like that she'd been in Brooklyn with baby Christopher and with Wes. Like, I felt like that was her moment to say that he was still around, and she didn't. And I mean, if this dude is still alive and they've waited until the very, very last moments, basically the last episode, to tell us that, it just seems weird, right? I mean, wouldn't you have been using him in the last couple of episodes if he was really alive? Afonso says Michaela and Connor also wanted to come clean back in season 1. They did, and Annalise stopped them. Yes. Ashley says this reminds you of PLL. It started off well and just ended up going south. Yeah, it ended up going like really south, Hilda says you wonder where they'd been now if they just disposed of the body like Wes suggested in season 1. Well, after you conspire or are accessories to a murder, I think it still is going to mess you up mentally like so much. So, if they had never been involved in that murder, I think their lives would be so much better. And I don't think that they would have committed other crimes, but it was just like the issue was they did this crime, then everyone had dirt on all of them, and then they had to just keep doing more crimes, I guess. I don't know. But I guess the biggest issue would be that don't get involved in this crime so you don't have to worry about people having that dirt on you. Luke says, remember in the promo there was a shooting at the courthouse. You think that's when Annalise dies. So, does she really die? Does that really happen? I don't know. They may be going there. They've definitely been teasing that to death, foreshadowing that to death. But I feel like they've almost foreshadowed it to the point that it's not going to happen, because why would you come out and say she's going to die? Like, shouldn't that be like a surprise? I don't know. Let's see. S. Wilson says, if Laurel was with Wes, she's trashed because she told Frank she missed him. Well, now that actually is such a great comment, because that makes me really think, and I didn't even put those two together. If she's back with Wes and she's been hiding the fact that he's alive, she wouldn't have had that exchange with Frank, because it was like she wanted to be with him. She said something about being a family. I don't think he's alive, guys. If he is, then she doesn't know that he's alive. Jan thinks Annalise is going to win the case and she'll get shot on her way out. You don't see them not killing her after they tease the whole who killed Annalise. I know, but I mean, they could be metaphorically speaking here. Like Annalise, as we know her as a lawyer and all of the stuff that she does, she may just go to being a regular person that doesn't have like this crazy life anymore. She may move, she may change her name like people have talked about. I don't know. Ben says the whole funeral scene feels very much like the he's coming for you scene in PLL after the CC reveal that they had to make into a dream sequence. Definitely. The whole funeral scene thing we've seen many times doesn't seem real to me, especially with the element of having Wes involved in it. Doesn't look real to me. Andrew says, you are praying that Michaela dies. You know she probably won't, but like she really only thinks about herself. Yeah, so this definitely been a character flaw of hers for pretty much the whole series, you know. And I would be I don't know, you know, I think the show doesn't really go big a lot of times. The biggest they ever went was killing off Wes, you know, and then they messed that up because it just didn't make sense, and the person who killed him didn't make sense, and now I guess they're trying to make him come back. They did kill Asher, which was, yeah, kind of ballsy, I guess, but usually they just kill off like random villains or just people that no one gives a crap about. So, you know, I would hope that they would go big for the series finale. I would hope that they would kill off whoever. Kill them all. Bonnie, Michaela, Connor, Oliver. Let's go. I don't see them doing that. I don't think they are going to go that way. I just don't. I wish they would, but I don't think they will. Alfonso says, do I read the synopsis for the future episodes? I don't. I kind of want to be surprised in some way, but I do, you know, I do always watch the previews, though. Madeline wants Michaela's dad to kill her just to prove that Michaela was being stupid. I've definitely had a lot of weird thoughts about Michaela's dad, and I've talked to you guys about that. He is such a shady person. And another loose end that I don't think we're ever going to find out is what exactly is his relationship with Annalise. Like, what went down with him? They have some kind of weird beef or whatever, or she owes him something or whatever. Isn't that how it is? She owes him or he owes her? I don't know. So I think he's super shady, and I could see him doing something crazy. Sweetest Potato is excited for the series finale. Gregory says, everyone except Asher to bite it since season 1, if you remember well. Yeah, I mean, everyone's just been lame. Like, you know, they've killed some people, and it's been interesting, but they've all been, like, supporting people. S. Wilson hopes Bonnie lives, and they show her finding her son at the very end. That's another storyline that we have abandoned, so I don't know if that's coming back. Ashley says, you used to like Michaela, but after this last episode, you don't like her at all. Yeah, she was really, like, impossible to like in this episode. Gregory says, everyone expected Asher to bite it. Oh, wait, I've already read that. Luke says, let's admit the best episode they have done was season 4, episode 8, the What Happened That Night episode. I really think, I can't remember exactly what went down in that episode. I really think their strongest season was 1. I thought that was just fantastic. And that's when I like fell in love with the show. And again, I don't even think I wasn't doing videos on it then. And I was just like, wow, you know, I loved it so much. I was trying to find people on YouTube that were discussing it. And that's how I found that woman that was doing it. Well, I don't think Asher will be in the finale. Luke is asking if Asher will be in the finale, but I mean, are they doing like, you know, what you call it, flashbacks? I don't know. T. Parker says, you notice how the K3 went back to their former selves from last night's episode. Connor being a nervous wreck, Michaela putting herself first, and Laurel being loyal to Annalise. Yeah, it's like it all came full circle. Again, if I've missed your comment, please just comment again, please, please. Gregory says, if Michaela dies, you want her to die in a really dumb way as a birthday gift for yourself, even though it's tomorrow. Well, first of all, happy early birthday. And I'm fine with Michaela dying. So, yeah, maybe we can make it like a death from like Scream, the movie, where she like gets crushed by the garage door or something just totally random and disgusting like that. Ralph says Laurel's dad will send a hit to the trial to kill the governor or even Nate or Frank. Yeah, so messing with this dude is not good, and I think Nate should be smarter than that, but I guess he's not. I wouldn't mess with Jorge. He's caused so much problems, so many problems, but, you know, something else that by me talking about this, I'm starting to get annoyed because it's like the fact that the Castillos have been the focus of this show for so long. It's just, here we are, the episode before the whole thing ends, and we're stuck on them again. We cannot get over the Castillos, and I think that has been a huge failing point for this show, a huge, huge issue with this show. And I don't know why we have to be so obsessed with this family or whose idea it was to make them such a central part of the show, but it's killing, and it has killed this show, in my opinion. Jada says you think that we're forgetting about how crummy Laurel was before her last episode. She was sleeping with Wes and Frank at the same time and didn't know who the father was. Well, you know what? I'd actually kind of forgotten about that, but you're right. And you're saying she lied to both men often. So the nice way to put it is that she's confused. But, I mean, I'm sorry, but like, if she's with Wes and she's been helping him hide and they've been together like all this time with their baby and she's trying to get with Frank, like, that's disgusting. Like, really, like, are you that low? I don't know. Is she? I don't know. Rob says the writers have given up. I mean, in my opinion, they have. Jan is thinking Gabriel was a pointless character. I don't know. Was he? I've enjoyed him on the show. Maybe I just enjoy looking at him. I don't know. Luke says, you think the show got canceled and the writers tried their best to have everything wrapped up. If that's the case, you feel bad for them because they had potential and they needed more time. Yeah, so I don't know. It did get canceled, and I don't know how many seasons they were hoping for. But this has been a problem. You know, this has been... I feel like the first half of the season was pretty good, actually. But this second half has just felt so rushed and wrong, and I don't know. Gregory says, thank you. You don't want Michaela to die in an undignified way since you don't think she deserves a plot-relevant death. I mean, or she should die like in one of the Final Destination, you know, just something malfunctions and she dies on a roller coaster or something because it goes off the tracks. Well, we know she's not going to be on a roller coaster, but just something so silly, you know. Madeline says, what's going to happen to the person that killed Asher? They made a whole thing about finding her, and they didn't mention it at all. And I think they didn't mention this at all, right? They didn't even mention that woman this week, even though she was, like, mentioned last week. I think it's going to be another loose end. Are you kidding me? I mean, this is ridiculous. Doja's asking about the blonde FBI woman, which I think she was from either the first half of the season or last year. The woman who had, like, all the pictures up on the wall and was connecting the dots. Where did she go? Did she get fired or something? BC says, do I think Annalise will end up winning or losing the case? I think she will win. Alfonso says, at this point, can Gabriel find out the actual truth about his dad? You know, he deserves it, doesn't he? What a mess. Ralph says, Gabriel is there to show Michaela the error of her ways. True, yeah. Hilda says, Gabe was a West replacement. Yes, I agree with that. He didn't really do or add anything. He could at least add in more drama. Yeah, he was kind of like a red herring because, like, you know, and I think people still feel this way. They're like, I think he's a good guy at this point, but there's just so much talk about, can we trust him? Is he evil? Is he out to get them? You know, they just put him in there to confuse us. They put him in there so we'd have something to look at. Yes, she got fired. I thought something happened with her. FBI woman. Can't remember her name. Azuki says, you think that the woman that killed Asher went to jail because there's a scene where she's sitting handcuffed in last week's episode. So, did we get that resolved last week? Because I don't even remember. I know it was talked about, but did we get it resolved that she went to jail? Right. So, as Wilson says, with Gabriel being involved, we can bring in Vivian, who is his mom, because she's more relevant. Victor says maybe Vivian killed Hannah in order to have Annalise lose her case. I mean, I could see that, really. Because Gabriel told his mom that the kids actually did it. Madeline says Gabriel is irrelevant, but he's absolutely gorgeous, so he can be on my screen all day, and I won't mind at all. So, Rome Flynn plays Gabriel. I do think he's beautiful. So it's really hard for me to dislike him, dislike his character. I know a lot of you guys are a little bit bashing him in the comments, but I can't say that I haven't enjoyed him on the show. I can say not much has happened with him. I think it's a little bit interesting that he is Sam's son and that we get to see him as an adult. And I think what's really cute and cool is that the little boy that plays little boy Gabriel is actually Tom, who plays Sam's real life son. So I find all of that like super endearing. So Mr. M. Carr cannot wait for the finale. Want it to be mind-blowing. We can only hope. Telesco was the name of a blonde FBI agent. Thank you, Megan. Jada says, down with the Castillo. Down with the Castillos in your Tegan voice. I wish I could talk like Tegan. She has such an amazing voice, right? BC says, Gabriel is not gorgeous. Connor is. Okay. I personally prefer Gabriel, but Connor is not bad to look at. That's funny. But I really think Gabriel is really beautiful. I think he's more beautiful than Wes. So I think it was like, they killed off Wes and that didn't make any sense to anybody. So they're like, let's find a better looking guy that we can replace Wes with so they won't be upset with us anymore. Victor says maybe Vivian killed Hannah in order to have Annalise lose her case because Gabriel... Wait, I've already read that. Did I? I've already read that. Okay, sorry. Gregory thinks the finale will blow. All right. I think so too. Sorry. I'm so sorry because I know there's some people in the room that like really love the show, love where it's gone and everything. But I can bet you like... I'm 99% sure that I'm going to have a gigantic rant on here next Friday. So if you're into that kind of thing, please come. If not, I'm sorry in advance, but I might have to rip up somebody's face next week. It might be that bad. That's what I'm thinking. So I'm trying to think if we covered all of the elements of this episode. What else do we need to talk about? I'm just really, really concerned because there are so many loose ends, so many. We've talked about quite a few here. We've talked about them pretty much every week for the past couple of weeks. So that means there's like more than 5 or something. And again, I'm not Jorge, so there's a lot of like smaller storylines that never got resolved that, guys, they're never getting resolved. So sorry, that's just where we're going here. Hi, Leo. Thank you so much for being here. Megan says, has anyone noticed that the guy who played Caleb Hapstall? Yes, I totally noticed this. Was also Nathan on Insecure, which is on HBO. Yes, when I started watching Insecure, I was so happy. He's not on the show anymore, at least currently. But I was like, yes, we've got the guy who was Caleb on How to Get Away with Murder. I was super happy to see that. He's cute too. I forgot about him. Yes. Gregory says Sam's kids, 3 of them, Sam, Junior, Gabe, and Frank. Yeah, that we know of, right? Oh, and then he had another child, which they murdered. What's her name's baby? Brad's looking forward to the rant. Hilda says a Wes and Gabe scene would have been everything. The actors who play them took a pic together at the How to Get Away with Murder wrap-up party, and you had feelings. Well, I guess it's not too late for a Wes and Gabe scene, but I don't know where we're going with that. Victor says maybe Vivian killed Hannah in order to have Annalise lose her case because Gabriel... Wait! How does that comment keep coming back? Are you commenting that again? Like, I don't know what I'm doing here, but I keep reading it. Okay, sorry, Victor. Afonso says Tegan might have killed Hannah. She is so obsessed with Annalise as the force of nature lawyer that she couldn't bear Annalise leaving and not being that anymore. Yeah, I can see that too. Hilda says Gregory. Yes, Lila's baby. Thank you. That's what I was trying to think of. Lila's baby. So sick and sad and terrible. Aaron says you like this episode. We got to hear Annalise's thoughts. That was cool. It was cool. Yeah, that was cool. Jada says, why kill Asher? That was so lame. Talk about a loose end. It wasn't even listed in the deaths because caused by Annalise. You bet the actor's probably mad as hell over his pointless death. I still feel like Wes's death was beyond pointless, and that was the turning point in the show where things just went to hell. That's where things just started going down. It wasn't like everything after that was terrible, but that was them making that decision started taking the show in a new and bad direction. Did Caleb really kill himself? That's a loose end that we will never find out about as Wilson. I don't think they're ever going to drag Caleb back up. I actually had forgotten about him. How sad is that? Gregory says you feel the show faltered when the Castillos were introduced as a telenovela villain reject family. Again, another major downfall. And I think that reveal happened before Wes's death, didn't it? And then from that point on, it became a central part of the show, which I don't understand. I don't know why one of these students had way more importance over everyone else. Because think about it that way, like they're basically saying that Laurel is more important than everyone else because they had to focus so much on her family. By the way, the guy who plays Jorge is an excellent villain in Ozark. He is fantastic. He's kind of similar to the villain that he is in this show, but I would say on a better level. Doja says Ozark doesn't have any cute guys. I think that's right. I think they don't. Man, they need to step it up. Season 4, they need to get some hotties in there. Victor says, sorry. Oh, no, it's okay. It's totally okay. I was like, wow, I've read it 3 times now. No, it's totally fine. So anyway, it's really hard for me to believe that we just have one episode left of this show forever. Uh, yeah, I don't even have the words for it. Gregory says they made the same mistake on Scandal as well. Why don't they learn? So that was a show. I started watching Scandal like way after it had aired. You know, like I didn't watch it from day one. People wouldn't quit talking about it, so I started watching it on whatever it was on. Maybe it used to be on Netflix. Maybe it still is. I don't know. And I was really into it for a while. And then it got to one season that was just, I hated it. And then I know, like, from other people that it took some weird turns before it ended. So Hilda says it was like with Wes it was like that with Wes for a bit, but his relationship with Annalise is what made the show, so it made sense. Alfonso's asking if Ozark is over. Ozark season 3 is over. It was released like last month or something, or maybe March. But there's going to be a season 4, but who knows when, because nobody can film anything right now, I guess. Jan says the writers already did a similar thing to the whole Frank Italian paradox. They showed Laurel's family in season 1 and just pretended that never happened. I don't even remember that, actually. Andrew says you're sad that we never really actually found out who killed the Hapstall parents. They said it was that girl, but was it really her? No flashbacks or nothing in that season. Who knows? And we will never know, sadly. Yeah, BC saying you're hoping we were going to get a 2-hour finale, and a lot of people I really feel like we need a longer one. So that makes me even more concerned that they're going to fit all this into, 40 minutes or something? Because, with all the commercials, how are we going to figure out everything? How are we going to tie up the loose ends, even the big loose ends? I'm concerned. Madeline doesn't understand why it's not a 2-hour finale. Victor says, how is Wes alive? How could they possibly explain that? Good luck, but I guess we'll find out next week, because it doesn't make any sense to me, but we'll see what kind of craziness they're going to try to feed us next week. I mean, I think that's the dumbest thing ever, but hey, who am I to say? Gregory says, trivia, Matt McGorry, Asher's actor, used to be a bodybuilder. Yes, because I know quite a bit about this guy, because he's the reason that I wanted to watch this show, because he was on... why can't I think of the name of it? It was on Netflix about the women's prison. Can't think of the name. I saw him. I loved him. I loved his character on that show. I don't know why I can't think of his name. He was like season 1, season 2. Loved his character. His character was way better on that show than it is on How to Get Away with Murder. And then I saw him in some interview or something saying he had a new show coming out on ABC, How to Get Away with Murder. And I was like, I really loved him in, why can't I think of the name of it? The prison show. The women's prison show on Netflix. So I'm going to watch the show because of him. And then it turns out that his character on this show kind of sucks, but Orange is the New Black. Thank you. I was just waiting for someone to say Orange is the New Black. He was in Orange is the New Black for a season or 2 before How to Get Away with Murder. But he is the reason. So I would Google him. I was I feel like, he's from New York, and I feel like, he kind of got discovered I forgot how he got discovered. He has an interesting story about how he became an actor. Gregory says maybe they'll throw the others twist in the finale just to sink the show even further. Look, I think anything is possible with what they come up with for the finale. That's what's scaring me. I will just sit. I can only laugh at it. I mean, I'm not going to have any expectations, but so if something good happens, then I will be like, hey, I was surprised. That's actually pretty good. Liana says Caleb killed his parents and then took his own life. It was explained in the season 2 finale. That sounds familiar. Didn't he kill his parents? I think yeah. I'm sorry. I have just forgotten about it. And that was season 2. Well, no wonder. That was a long time ago, but wow. There was a sister too, right? Anyway, so anything else big that we need to talk about that we haven't? So apparently that was resolved. So that makes me feel a tiny bit better. So that's just one thing resolved, 99 others that we haven't. Awesome. Hilda says you're convinced Caleb didn't kill himself. You think something about the reveal didn't sit right. Well, we will never know because they are never going back to that storyline. There's no way, because what's really bothering me is what happened to Laurel's mom. Did Laurel kill her mom? Are they just not going to address that? Are they just going to leave that up in the freaking air? That really annoys me. And that is not old news from the way back. That was last season? Hilda thinks Caleb was killed, but it was staged as a suicide. Well, unfortunately, we'll just have to make our own assumptions on that because, oh my God, there's no way they're bringing up Caleb Hapstall at this point, which is, I'm sure it's, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? There's so many loose ends, but Anyway, thank you guys so much for being here, and I hope that you guys are doing well in quarantine and everything. I think it's starting to relax a little bit. I know I live in Kentucky in the US, and towards the end of this month, things are going to start reopening here until we're pretty much all the way reopened in July. Not all the way, like just kind of. Like I know restaurants, they're only going to allow like 30% capacity and stuff. So things are never probably going to be the same, or it might take a really long time for things to be the same in life. But it's given me some hope that things are opening up, and I just hope that, things are not opening up too soon, and then we have to do all of this all over again. So I don't know. Yeah, but I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. If you're watching this after it aired live, please comment. I always check and reply to my comments. But it was really fun talking to you guys. I love talking to you guys about this show, or about any show really. So have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye, guys.